Okay, so we've heard that body shaming is a thing. We know that it is a thing, a horrible, cruel thing that exists. But I think dental shaming exists. And I know that because for any of y'all who've been listening to this here podcast for over the past, gosh, what, almost over 9 months, y'all know I've been dealing with a little dental issue, missing a tooth. And I think dental shaming exists too. But does it exist from other people or does it exist within ourselves based on history and society? And I'm going to answer that with, of course, it's what society has told us. Us. It's what society has told us that we should be hating on ourselves for anything imperfect or quote unquote other or different or not quite right or not quite what is defined as classically beautiful. So today we're going to be telling some tales about teeth, or missing teeth, if you will.
Hey y'all, I'm Brooke Hoover, a Louisiana native, actor, writer, and comedian. I've lost 100 pounds through diet and exercise, or shall I say, lifestyle changes. My 20-year and counting health journey has taught me that just like taking a diet pill for weight loss, body positivity doesn't magically happen overnight. I'm working on regaining my self-esteem and rekindling my love affair with Cajun and Southern comfort food in a healthier way, all the while juggling eating as clean as I can, reestablishing myself in the entertainment industry, which, as we know, is historically fat-phobic, all the while showing my inner fat girl some love. That's fat with a PH. Pretty hot and tempting. Let me tell y'all a tale or two.
Y'all, I love a good old tacky Christmas in July, so just sing it with me. 5, 6, 7, 8. All I want for Christmas in July is my dental implant, my dental implant, my dental implant. All I want for Christmas in July is my dental implant, so I can tell people it's hot as balls without worrying about looking like the hillbilly I am deep in my soul. Ah, okay, I tried to make that work. Um, I was working on some jokes and in case this missing tooth, I forget the number of it. I used to know all the numbers of my teeth because I'm crazy and because my aunt is a dental hygienist. So I used to just know my teeth numbers pretty well. I forget this tooth. So basically, if you're watching the video, you can very well see it. If whoa, if you're not watching the video, it's basically if you look at your front teeth and you go 3 teeth to your left of that. So if you have a wide smile, like my dentist, Dr. Victor, shout out, love that guy at True Dental Care. Those people are great. If you have a wide smile like me, you could really see it. If you have a tiny smile, you might not be able to see it so much. But anyways, recording this podcast, recording any kind of voiceover, it's been like in my mind. I've had to wear flippers, I've had to wear retainers, I've had to get by doing acting work. I take it out when I'm doing voiceover work. I love it. Freedom of kind of like taking off a bra. It's like the freedom of taking off your flipper or taking off your retainer. But anyways, I've been working on some jokes over the past several months for comedy in case like this here missing tooth that y'all have all heard me whine about for the past 9 months in case it became visible. And y'all, it's all about making fun of yourself before other people get a chance to, right? And you better make fun of yourself better than anyone else can. At least that's what I learned in the School of Hard Knocks, aka middle school in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So that's sometimes the secret to being fat, pretty hot and tempting. Just calling it out and being like, whatever, making a joke of it. But then is that like self-shaming? Why, yes, it is. It's self-deprecation. Yes, it is. But it's also a defense mechanism. So how do you handle it? I don't know. I think that's the whole point of this podcast is we're learning how to be humorous and take things lightly, but also take things that need to be taken seriously and figuring out the, I don't know, the balance of both. And there's a fine line between self-deprecation and being funny. And so, yeah, that's, I guess, where I'm living right now. Yeah, fine line between body shaming or dental shaming and insanity and self-love, if you will. So, I'm recording this shortly before I'm supposed to be getting my dental implant. And I thought it was important to talk about dental health because I've talked a little bit, not enough, but we will more about mental health on the podcast. We've talked a lot about physical health, as in, like, your body. But I was recently at a physical about a month ago. And my doctor was like, anything significant this past year? And I was like, yeah, well, aside from like the vertigo and my flat foot and doing physical therapy for both and getting better with that, nothing. And then I was like, oh wait, but they did rip a big old tooth out of my face. And she's like, yeah, that is pretty significant. And it's funny because it seems like dental health and physical health are very, very separate. Well, as far as insurance, they certainly are. And I think they shouldn't be. I don't think anyone should be denied any sort of insurance. And then when you do get your depending on what kind of insurance you have, like your dental doesn't exist if you might get, say, marketplace insurance, which is crazy, which is why I worked my butt off to get union insurance. But newsflash, just so y'all know, if you are on Medicaid, obviously you get dental and medical, like health, full body health insurance. But I was on Medicaid at a certain point, and the dentist I went to, she herself was wonderful. The office was not. And I'm wondering if we'll get to that, but if they may have missed something. So I'm talking today to hopefully help other people not miss what maybe I missed or my dentist missed, and how to try to find the right dentist for you, especially if you're on a budget, and navigate, especially if you're terrified of the dentist, which I think like 95% of the population is. Don't quote me on that number. I think the other 5% are masochists. So let's dive in, shall we? Um, yeah. So I keep saying this and then I keep getting sidetracked because I have so much I want to talk about the dental health. I had actually wanted my aunt, Nanny Cile, Cecile is her a real name. We call her Cile, like the animal, but spelt Cile. Nanny Cile is a dental hygienist. My cousin Mary makes teeth. Her ex-husband is a, gosh, what's that, maxillofacial surgeon? Like he does like the whole kind of like gamut with your mouth. Not a periodontist, but much more in depth than a quote unquote regular dentist. Anyway, so I know a lot of dental people in my family, and I wish my aunt could have come on the podcast. She actually wanted to, but she was afraid that she would get too emotional. And I'm like, Nanny Cile, it's who's dat fat girl. We always get a little emotional at times. It's okay to get emotional because Nanny Cile had to have a forced retirement because of COVID. She had wanted to work, or at least just work 1 or 2 days a week, but COVID kind of forced her into a retirement that she didn't really want to take. And she really, really, really loved dental hygiene. She would clean my teeth when I was down there, and there was a period of time where I wasn't going down to Louisiana as much, so I missed out on those crazy hardcore cleanings. Needless to say, we'll talk a little bit more about dental hygiene, dental cleanings, making sure you're getting a good dental cleaning and not just some like BS, because that's all they, like, your insurance is paying for, and they don't really give a. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But can I please try like run by some jokes that like kind of I think have hit the trash can by now for my stand-up comedy? And that my friends and fans is part of the fat, pretty hot and tempting behind the scenes content, if you will. Okay. Y'all, I just want to call it out and own it before any of you do. I have a missing tooth right here. And something I'm realizing is when you're like 6 or 7, like my little cousin Rosie or Beckham, and you have missing teeth, it's so cute. It's precious and it's darling even. But when you're a grown ass adult with missing teeth, you just look like a meth addict. And I actually ran that joke by one of my good friends, one of my best gills, because I didn't want to offend any meth addicts in the audience. I was like, hey girl, do you think that joke's going to offend any of my fans who are meth addicts and my friends like, Brooke, I don't think any meth addicts are in your audience. They're not really your demographic. I'm like, why not? So, any meth addicts in the house? None of you? Really? No one? None of you saw Breaking Bad and got inspired? Who am I kidding, y'all? I can't be a meth addict. I'm not skinny enough. Wah, wah. Take a shot of green juice, of ginger juice, of course, for the times that Brooke will do some self-deprecating humor. Wah, wah. But yeah, see, I own it when I'm doing self-deprecating humor, which I try not to do, but sometimes it's just like, come on, like, that's not going to like really, I was about to say shut down my psyche, but yeah, it does. It kind of does. I've been going through, let's do a total sidetrack. I'll be concise as concise as Brooklyn possible. So I, I feel like I have been gaining weight. Well, according to the scale, my weight literally changes 10 pounds in a monthly menstrual cycle. That's insane. I've talked to my acupuncturist about it. We're working on that. It's not like I'm taking Fin or Ozempic or anything like that. It's not like I condone any of that. But I have been aware of that, and I'm lifting weights more, and I'm not so concerned with the number on the scale, more so, do I look heavier in pictures than I did 2 years ago? And I'm almost obsessing about it. So I feel like we almost need a whole podcast in and of that, because how can I preach to y'all something when I don't really fully believe it myself? But I don't really think that this podcast is about preaching like, oh, you got to do this to lose weight, or oh, you got to do this to love yourself. No, it's about like, how do we navigate this? Like all the 30,000 thoughts that happen within 1 second of just being human and imperfect and having life cycles, and shit cycles, and glory cycles, and good cycles and bad cycles. Basically, glory is good and shit is bad. I mean, unless you really like shit, then that would be good. So um, here's another joke. When I was 8, it was fun to leave my tooth under the pillow and awaken the next morning to a nice shiny silver dollar from the tooth fairy. Now I'm like, bitch, please just pay my mortgage, or more like, pay for my dental implant. That's more expensive than my mortgage, and I live in New Jersey, or and I live in New Jersey. See how that worked a little bit better, you know? Or more like, pay for my dental implant. Oh, wait, it's more expensive than my mortgage. And I live in New Jersey. Ah, there we go. Wah, wah. That's not really self deprecating, just more, as my dad would say, cheap shot humor, because I really shouldn't knock New Jersey in jokes. That is a cheap shot. It's like, how do we be more creative than that? Y'all, honestly, I never thought about my teeth so much until I didn't have one. Well, that's actually kind of a lie. Teeth, as you probably can guess by now, because I have a whole podcast episode about it, and this introduction that's been over 10 minutes so far has been clearly about like my teeth issues. Teeth have always been kind of an issue for me as long as I can remember. Do y'all want to go back down memory lane with me to rehash all my dental woes? And while doing so, I really hope that it can make you feel better about maybe your own dental woes, which, if you're having them, bless your heart, I'm right there with you. And by bless your heart, in that sense, I mean it sincerely, not like, oh, bless your heart. I mean it like, bless our freaking hearts, man. Dental woes suck. Or any health woes you might be going to, or body woes, or any other kind of woes in some shape or form. I had a bird named Woe Fat once. I couldn't keep saying whoa and not give a shout out to Woe Fat. If y'all have listened to one of my previous bird seed oatmeal, I believe it was in that podcast, I talk about Woe Fat a little bit. Anyways, I had to give Woe Fat a shout out. But I hope in my woes, you can feel less alone in yours, or maybe there is some light bulb moment that shall happen. Or even not a light bulb moment, but like a firefly. Keeping track of time here. I do know that once I started opening up to people about my dental issues, if you will, me having to have a tooth extracted and then implanted and waiting around for the implant. Once I got vulnerable about having to lose, not even lose a tooth, but have it ripped out and put it in storage as a 42-year-old, when the tooth fairy was long since off duty and sure as hell wasn't paying my mortgage or even giving me a silver dollar underneath my pillowcases for funsies. There are a lot of folks out there who have their own dental woes, and hearing about others, some of you listen to the podcast. I don't want to cry because I get emotional because other people really did help me through this. I'm not really good at asking people for help or advice. And when I do, that means I really trust and love you. But it made me feel less alone in my dental woes. And it seems like I talked to several people. And it seems like almost everybody I would talk to would be like, oh, yeah, I'm missing a tooth and this is an implant. Or, yeah, my cousin was, or somebody knew someone or was that someone. So I want us to kind of dive deep into some dental issues, and we're gonna travel back in time, y'all, to the early 80s. We're gonna do the Wayne's World thing, even though that was more of a 90s thing. But let's cue the travel back in time music. I don't really remember it, but my mama sure as hell does. So there was this pediatric dentist she brought me to, and he physically abused his patients. I was one of them. I was a little thing, as mama says, a little thing. I just kind of burped a little bit, and that wasn't mama's voice. That was mama's late best friend Glenn Spence's voice. Mama would be like, "You were just a little thing." That's how mama talks in my head. But yeah, this dentist, his name was TC Morgan. He was on 2020 or Dateline or like one of those very dramatic news shows. He would put us in a papoose, I guess, so we wouldn't flail and whatnot, which maybe in the 80s that was pretty standard, but he would yell and scream and it hit us. I just remember not quite that, because children have like this good thing of like blocking things out and bouncing back, and yet we store it and then become psychotic when we're in our like 20s, 30s, 40s and have to unpack it all later and then start a podcast about it. But yeah, he abused us, he hit us, and by saying us, I mean me and many, if not all, of his other patients. Um, yeah, so I didn't know why I was afraid of the dentist, because the dentist my mom obviously eventually figured something out. I think she got to talking to the other moms, as moms do, or she just kept saying, like, why is my child so panic stricken? Like, what is going on? And that translated to doctor's appointments, everything. I was terrified of like medical areas and appointments. And it was because I was physically abused by a dentist. Um, I remember not being gap toothed as a youngin, but I was cap toothed. I had a lot of caps. I had a couple silver cap tooth. One of my front teeth was silver capped, and I got that from doing a very fun yet dangerous game called couch jumping, where I would jump from couch to couch, pretending like I was I don't know if I was pretending I was a bunny or some other animal that hops a lot or leaps, maybe a leopard. Um, but yeah, I had requested silver caps at the nice new dentist. At least I thought he was nice. No, he really was a nice man. Um, I just had the ongoing trauma from Dr. Morgan prior. But I requested at the office that I get silver caps because my grandma, Mama Leona, she had a few cap teeth, but they were gold. And I thought it was so cool. I'd always like make her open up her mouth and I would like look at them. But my mama and dad explained that my teeth, because I was young, they're baby teeth, they would be temporary and they weren't going to foot the bill for gold. So I was slumming it with silver, but I rocked those teeth. I loved my silver capped teeth. And that's the doctor who took me to get those. I mean, the doctor who mama took me to get those was Dr. Ellard. And he was much, much nicer. But as a kid, I was like, you're a wolf in sheep's clothing. Because like he would do like this thing, like he would like give you like a koala bear nose, as he called it, koala, not koala, koala bear nose, which was laughing gas, if you will. He would give you that, and then he'd say, I'm just going to put a sleepy bubble I'm just gonna, now, Brooke, let's just relax. I'm gonna put a little sleepy bubble in your mouth. All right, it's just a sleepy bubble. Y'all, that thing was a shot, okay? It's not no damn sleepy bubble. Um, and they really hurt. They hurt less now as an adult. I think because they call them a shot. They call it like they see it. Call it a shot. But I'm gonna tell you one thing. If you don't do well with shots in your mouth, who does do well with shots in their mouth? A masochist. But if you don't do well, when I would go to the dentist where Nanny Cile, my aunt, was working back in Baton Rouge, if I had to get a cavity or something done, so you get that numbing gel on a Q-tip and put it on there, but leave the whole Q-tip with the swab in there. Say to the dentist or the dental hygienist, make friends with them, make nice. They're charging an arm and a leg to you, your insurance to someone. Say, please, can we just put that numbing cream up there for a little bit longer? Y'all, it really, really does help. So that's one little dental tidbit that, because Nanny Cile's not on this podcast, that's one little helpful hint I want to share with y'all. Um, but Dr. Ellard, he was pretty cool. But one day, Mama took me to the dentist just for a checkup, and he ended up pulling a tooth. My mama had betrayed me. I guess I had like an impacted kind of tooth or something, and I just felt like my mom lied to me, and kind of like I up until now, I was always like, shame on mama for lying to me. And now I'm like, shame on the dentist for putting her in that spot. Moms or dads, depending on who's the primary caregiver of the children, are in hard positions, because I bet the dentist said to her, well, you won't be able to schedule another appointment for, 2, 3 months, and it could start hurting Brooke or something like that. Like, he obviously convinced her to do it that day when I just prepped myself, to just go for a cleaning. But that dentist, Dr. Ellard, had a mascot named Bippo the Hippo, and I just wanted to punch Bippo in the damn snout after that visit. Kind of like, when Chevy Chase punches Marty Moose in the snout when he realizes they've driven to Wally World, only for it to be closed. Bimpo, he was a Pimpo, no, Bippo the Hippo. He was just a distraction, a decoy, if you will, to make children not think about how traumatic the dentist is. Speaking of traumatic times at the dentist, I also grew up watching Little Shop of Horrors, like on repeat. And I've also been trying, Mom and I've been trying for a year to win the lottery for the show on Broadway. We haven't won yet. We think, just like Bippo the Hippo, we think it's fake as hell, that lotto. Anyways, I hope I win one day. But let me just tell y'all, if y'all hadn't experienced some dental trauma like I had at Dr. T.C. Morgan's office, or with Bippo the Hippo's henchman, Dr. Ellard, you were going to be traumatized in Little Shop of Horrors by Orin Scrivillo DDS, which is also arguably one of my favorite Steve Martin characters ever. I was equally enthralled and terrified by this man. I mean, y'all, legit, he was an abuser, okay? A loud and proud and creepy wife, well, girlfriend, Audrey was his girlfriend abuser. And my first childhood dentist experience was with an abusive dentist. So I kind of saw that as par for the course when it came to going to the dentist. Um, so yeah, why would I see the benefit of going to the dentist if I associated it with abuse, even as my form of entertainment, like to be entertained by Little Shop? I was watching an abusive dentist sing over and over again. I was also one of those kids who had to have braces. I think almost all of us had to have braces, and either had them or didn't have them. But looking back, and I starting to do a lot of math in my head, I realized that I am lucky that my parents were able to foot the bill for braces. They're not cheap, y'all. Dental stuff is not cheap. I requested the clear braces so no one could see them. I was like a damn magician with my clear braces. Now you see it, now you don't. It looks like she's just wearing a retainer. Yeah, but it still felt like braces, right? But thank God I never had to wear those rubber bands. Anybody ever had to wear those rubber bands? I never quite understood their purpose. Maybe it was to like align the jaw, but secretly I always wanted them. See, if my nanny would have been on this podcast episode, I could have asked her, what's the point of rubber bands? If y'all know, let me know, please. But if you've ever had braces, you know how good it feels to finally have them removed when it's like your due date to have them removed. You can run your tongue over your teeth again, which I haven't done since my braces have been removed. Yeah, it's good to do that and to not have braces on. But y'all, I kept up with my dental regimen and retainer throughout the rest of high school and college. And I then, of course, when you're like around 18 to 20 or so, you have to have, if you're like me, that's usually around the time they notice your wisdom teeth are impacted and you got to have them removed. So I had mine removed when my mama had moved from Louisiana to North Carolina in the mountains of Smoky Mountains of North Carolina by a nice dentist. Well, maxillofacial surgeon. He was a surgeon, oral surgeon named Dr. Hornsby. And Dr. Hornsby was the same name of a dentist who removed my mama's wisdom teeth, which she would show us once a month, y'all. She kept them in a little envelope in this scrapbook. And I wonder if she still has them. She probably does. She has all my braces and almost all of my old teeth saved like a complete psycho or just a good mama. But Mama's wisdom teeth were also ripped out, or extracted, shall I say, by a Dr. Hornsby in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And I was so terrified at Dr. Hornsby in Hendersonville, North Carolina's office, that they had to use an IV drip to knock me out completely. And they sent me home with a ton of Vicodin, which I also realized, like, um, I loved them too much. I loved the pain pills too much. It felt like being in heaven. Like I felt relaxed, but also inspired to like draw a lot. Like it was like, I don't know, being on like some hallucinogenic medicine and like 5 cups of coffee at the same time for me. And then I'd pass out and sleep well. Oh God, it felt so great. But I got off of those pills ASAP because they were too good. Um, I didn't drink from a straw for a year because I was terrified of having dry sockets. And as y'all know, dry sockets, that's when kind of like you've had dental surgery, right? And you drink from a straw and that can erupt the area. You don't have to wait a whole full year just until your dentist or oral surgeon approves you. But I still kind of am sometimes afraid of getting a dry socket for some reason, even with this missing tooth here that has long since healed. But like I said, throughout all of this journey, my Nanny Cile, who is a dental hygienist, she was there with me. I didn't go to her dentist per se, where she was always my dental hygienist, but she would throw me pro bono family cleanings, especially because I didn't have dental insurance for a while. Y'all, I didn't see the dentist for like 4 or 5 years. I would just like go to Louisiana once a year almost and have Nanny clean them because I couldn't find a dentist who was affordable enough to like do x-rays and the standard cleaning and all that for me. And I do want to tell y'all, I went to my friend's daughter about a year ago, and she's the one who really kind of like helped me get on a track here. But she was a dental hygienist at the dental hygiene schools. So if you just look in your area for dental hygiene schools, they do exist. We have one in Jersey City, actually, I think a very good one. Sign up. You're going to have to spend more time there because you're getting it done for free. Yeah, but besides that, the dental hygiene students, they need to run it by their supervisor. So you're going to get like a spa treatment. I mean, it's not going to be like a spa treatment, right? There's still a little Orin Scrivello DDS up in there. But no, you're going to get VIP treatment, if you will, because they're going to be so anal retentive about your cleaning. You're having like 2 or 3 people come over and check it. They're going to notice things. They're going to do x-rays. They're going to scan it. Go if you are low on funds, or even if you have like insurance, but you feel like your current dentist is just doing kind of like half-ass work, go to a dental hygienist school. I hope that really does help. My aunt is so passionate about dental hygiene. How passionate is she, Brooke? Well, she used to scrape tartar off her Shih Tzu Murphy's teeth, and he loved it, by the way, and he lived to be like 20 years old. Yeah. So let's talk about the benefits of dental hygiene, shall we? I mean, there's obvious reasons, as we know. They look prettier, they look whiter, they prevent cavities, they prevent tartar and decay and bad breath. But also, diabetes type 2 and heart health go hand in hand with dental hygiene. So it's important that we keep that up. Really important that we pay attention to our dental health. Again, I'm not trying to Orin Scrivello y'all and scare anybody, but just keep up with it. All right, find a dental hygiene school if it's a little hard for you right now to pay for a cleaning, or call a couple dental offices and say, hey, how much do you charge for someone who does not have insurance? And again, if you have insurance, I believe they cover it once or twice a year. I get it 4 times a year, a cleaning, meaning without having to pay out of pocket, because I have a periodontal history. So if you have a periodontal history, you might get more cleanings. It's important to stay on top of them, and I'm trying to do my Nanny Cile proud. I'm not trying to guilt anyone. But yeah, uh, my aunt would even sometimes talk to some of my friends who, and always me, before any kind of more, I don't know, involved or intense dental work, to make sure we weren't being charged unfairly by the dentist. Because dental abuse is one thing, but being overcharged for dental treatments feel almost even more abusive. I'm not, that almost seemed like I was being callous towards physical or mental abuse. I'm not. But the charge of the dentist is a pain point for many of us. So I do want to talk about that. So that's something that if you feel something's not right, it's not right. So on that note, I started getting SAG-AFTRA insurance, because you have to earn it every year. So some years I had it, some years I didn't. Um, a couple times I went to a dentist who accepts Medicaid. I didn't even have Medicaid at the time, but they're a dentist I had found by calling, and they would charge me a lower rate because they knew I didn't have dental insurance. At one point during the pandemic, I was on Medicaid, and I went to that dentist. I'm not saying this because they accepted Medicaid. The dentist herself was wonderful, but the hygienists, I feel like they did a half-ass job cleaning. They just like used the little, my aunt would use the Scantron or whatever it's called, the what's the word? Robot, not artificial intelligence, but the mechanical cleaner. And then she would go and hand scrape it. And that's what my current dentist does, because I told them from the get-go, I was like, we're not going to do this BS of just a mechanical. You're going to go back and hand scale it too, and measure pockets and all that stuff. So that's pretty important if you have a perio history, meaning any sort of gum issues, bleeding gums. If this gives you any hope, I used to make my gums bleed when I would floss because I was flossing inappropriately. So when you floss, maybe I'll do like a little video and put it on Instagram. You want to hug the tooth. And that's a hard concept to really get until you really get there. And you're not cleaning between the teeth, you're cleaning both sides of the teeth. Do y'all feel me on that? Again, I need to make a video for that, because for my friends who are just listening, this might be a little confusing, but you're not just shoving the tooth up there, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, and coming down. You're going in there and curving and following those curves and caressing and coming back down and pulling some shit down with it maybe, and then repeating it again right on that other side. You know what I mean? So important stuff. So you want to make sure you're flossing appropriately. I wasn't, and had I been to a dentist sooner, I would have known that sooner. So I caused gum recession and all that, and that's enter my perio history, but then enter me qualifying for SAG-AFTRA health insurance. And I went to a dentist who did what's called like the deep scaling, where they have to numb your mouth. They have to give you sleepy bubbles in your whole mouth. And ever since I've had that, and I follow up regularly with perio cleaning. So ever since that, my insurance has deemed me as a perio patient. So that's how I get the 4 dental cleanings for free. Um, well, covered by insurance a year, because I have the perio history. Keep up with it. Even twice a year is great, but try to go more than once a year to get your teeth cleaned. And again, if your insurance is just going to cover one, or if you don't have insurance, go to the dental hygiene school, please, 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 because there is hope. You can't necessarily rebuild the gums, but you can repair a lot of damage that you may have done, either by being neglectful or being like overly zealous or overly type A with your flossing, like I did for way too long. So needless to say, I got all that kind of stuff straight with the perio history, and making my gums all like fakakta with flossing them. But then I have a little gap between my 2 front teeth, tiny, but it looks like I have a chia seed stuck in it constantly. It's also called the black triangle. And then my teeth at the bottom, because I'm kind of like, all right, so dogs are kind of like humans, right? We all have the same amount of teeth, but some of us have smaller mouths and some of us have bigger mouths. So a golden retriever's teeth are going to be easier to clean and usually less funky than, say, a Maltese or a Pomeranian, like my guys who are Like they're dental patients, just like me. We get it honest because the mouths are smaller, right? So it's harder like to clean and to let it breathe and all that nasty stuff. So I have a small jaw at the bottom. Hey boys, I'm joking. I used to be able to shove my fist into my mouth like as a joke, but no, really, I do have a tiny mouth. And the two teeth at the bottom are crooked. So I desperately wanted that. And I used to call them, this is horrible, but I used to call them my British teeth. And if you're wondering why I called them my British teeth, it's because I saw Alan Rickman and Sense and Sensibility. I mean, I saw everybody in Sense and Sensibility. That's a hard word to say without going into your nasal cavity. Sense and Sensibility. So I saw them in Sense and Sensibility. It's easier with a British accent. Sense and Sensibility. Anyways, Kate Winslet, Emma Thompson, wonderful. But Alan Rickman, I was like, yo, his teeth are like fakakta, man. I don't know why. Fakakta has become a new word. But I'm like, what is up? What is up with British people? I think it's okay to make fun of an imperialistic group of people who have colonized and terrorized plenty of other countries for pretty much like the whole history of their existence. It's okay, British people. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Get over it. Part of my heritage is British. Like, we don't got good teeth, some of us. We got crooked teeth. And that's the thing is like British people roll with it. British like fame Alan freaking Rickman, famous actors roll with it. Where there's while there's some actors who have fine teeth, but they don't think they're good enough, so they put veneers on them on perfectly good teeth. And it's like, so where's that standard? Why is America and Britain, England so different? And why am I even like getting so anal retentive about teeth? Why am I making fun of them? Why am I shaming Alan Rickman about his teeth, for God's sakes? So needless to say, I wanted to fix my crooked British teeth at the bottom here. And I got this stunt gig in 2019. And I got enough money. And I said, no, I got enough money, but to do my Smile Direct. Not enough to do Invisalign, which would have been the gold standard. But the platinum standard would have been braces, just to get freaking braces again. We'll go through that in a second. But I went to my Smile Direct, which is basically a bunch of clear kind of like retainers that you wear that shift your teeth around and make them nice and pretty and straight. And while that was happening, my teeth shifted so much that the crooked teeth, I said to them, I almost preferred them crooked because they became straight, but then there was a huge gap and one of my teeth felt unsupported. So now it's back to where it was because I stopped dealing with that Smile Direct stuff. So here's the deal. Invisalign, you're seeing a dentist for Invisalign. My Smile Director, just like go into a place and the dentist is totally remote. I recommend, and I wish I would have known this sooner. I wish my dentist, my Medicaid dentist would have told me this from the get-go when they knew I was looking into Invisalign, which they offered at their office, and I told them it was way too expensive for me. So I went to my Smile Direct. My dentist told me after the fact, because they helped me get a refund from my Smile Direct, which I did. I damn well deserved it after everything I went through with the teeth getting like weakened and all that. You really want, if you have substantial teeth, I guess, crookedness, crowding, you want to get braces. And I have a friend whose son is like 13 and he wants to just do Invisalign. And she had posted on her Facebook, should I do Invisalign or should I do for him or should I do braces? And I was like, hands down braces. I was like, your child is going to hate me. This is coming from the queen of clear braces, but who wanted clear braces so no one would see them. But please do braces. Please do braces. Here's why. So Invisalign, Smile Direct, all that kind of philosophy, it just shifts the teeth at the surface, right? It doesn't, the braces actually shift them from the gum area. So where the teeth really are, like, the teeth. I'm trying to show my YouTube friends this. They'll see it. Podcast people, I'm doing my best to explain it. So imagine if a tooth looks like two fingers, right? That's all up in your mouth. The little fingers are like one finger's all up in your mouth, depending on the size of the tooth. The fingers are in your mouth and your gum, you can't see them. And you see like the fist, the hand part, right? So the braces are getting the root. They're getting the fingers and aligning them from the inside out, if you will. My Smile Direct, Invisalign, they're doing it just at the surface. So for someone like me, I really wouldn't have been that great of a candidate. And I went to my Smile Direct and had everything done. And of course, they're going to tell you you're a great candidate because they want to make the money instead of saying, no, you should probably go get braces to get done what you want done. So, needless to say, I had a lot of tooth shifting happening, blah, blah, blah. I get SAG after insurance again. I go to this fabulous dentist, True Dental. Is it my True Dental? Guys, I'm so sorry. I wanted to give y'all a shout out, but it's True Dental Care in Jersey City. My True Dental, they're my True Dental. No, but they're True Dental Care in Jersey City. I love them. And at one of the cleanings, they said, oh, Brooke, I just went in. Here's the deal. I just went in for a standard cleaning. And I'd been for cleanings for about, like 6 months with them prior. I was at the dental hygiene school. But they noticed that this tooth that was extracted was loose. And we're like, oh gosh, the tooth is loose. So it had to be extracted. And they said, the next thing we're going to do is hopefully we're going to bone graft it, and hopefully the bone graft will take. I had a friend who told me that her mom's bone grafting didn't go so well. And also, bone grafting is from cadavers. So I was feeling all sorts of like bad, I'm like, well, I drink collagen and I do eat meat, but because I have a human bone in my mouth, am I now a cannibal? And see, that's like a joke that could have written, but I never quite wrote it because it wasn't funny enough, but maybe I should still work around that somehow. Like, it actually feels worse to eat animals than people. What am I talking about here? But it did feel weird knowing that there was like a human bone going into my mouth, essentially. So I said to the dentist, I was like, Dr. Victor, I was like, what is this particle made of, this bone for the bone grafting? I was like, can you please just tell me it's bovine? I mean, I drink bone broth. And he's like, you want it real, or you want the truth, or you want me to make you feel better? And I was like, all right, Oren Scrivillo DDS from Little Shop of Horrors, because I'm a dentist. You're going to tell me the truth. And he said, Brooke, it's a cadaver. And I said, holy cow. So I just prayed to the good Lord above, and I prayed to the person whose bone was in my mouth that I would accept it with honor. And I know it sounds like I'm being silly and facetious, but I'm actually pretty touched by it. It's pretty intense because, on a good note, the bone grafting took. I will be getting my tooth like 2 weeks after this episode airs. So in less than, like, I guess 3-4 weeks from today, I will be getting it. And it is thanks to someone who passed away and I guess donated their body for science, which I plan to do with mine. And I guess a few of my ashes will remain. Oh, this is getting morbid. But yeah, dental stuff is a little morbid, y'all. They extracted my tooth to the tune of me humming, "Don't Stop Believing," because I didn't want to hear the sound. So the sound and the idea of it was really bad. And then after the fact, I was worried blood was going to be gushing. But no, Dr. Victor and Zio, his assistant, they made it really wonderful. And afterwards, I was like, y'all, looking at them, I said, y'all, please tell me I don't look ugly. Please tell me I don't look ugly. And they're like, Brooke, you don't look ugly. You look pretty. After my tooth is ripped out and I'm bleeding a little bit with gauze in it. And then I was like, if y'all tell anybody, I'm going to kill y'all. And now I've told the world. And by the world, I mean, like, I think 7 countries listen to this podcast. Shout out to Poland. But yeah, dental stuff, I realized, just like all the negative diet culture, fat phobic culture out there, I have a lot of dental stuff still stuck in my teeth, if you will, like a big old piece of spinach, if we're going to use a little metaphor here. You know, they used to say to us back in the day, you better brush your teeth or your teeth will rot. Did anybody ever tell you all that? Because I heard that all the time. With my aunt as a dental hygienist, she would make us floss, and you would floss and maybe get a little something on the floss, and she'd say, oh my gosh, look at that bug. Look at that bug. It wasn't a bug, it was just like a piece of food. Or in school, like in grade school, where they make you chew on that stuff and you see all the areas that you missed of your teeth, and it's kind of cool and kind of traumatic at the same time because you see all the tartar and stuff that you missed when brushing because you're doing it wrong. There's one dental hygienist at the office where I go to, even though I love the office, there's one dental hygienist who still is like, "What are you doing? What kind of toothbrush do you use?" Like she's still kind of like really like hardcore dental shaming me. Like some people I have experienced in my life as dental hygienists or dentists, and it doesn't feel good. It feels like you're totally on display because your mouth is open and you also can't talk at the same time. So I don't know how much more vulnerable you can be than being at the dentist. That's my point, y'all. So I appreciate y'all for allowing me to be this vulnerable and having my missing tooth. Um, yeah, I caught myself recently. I was trying to make like I was zooming with my FaceTiming, excuse me, FaceTiming with my little cousins and trying to make them laugh. And I was like, aha, and I showed them my teeth and laughing like a witch, my missing tooth. And I said, kids, go brush your teeth right now, or else you're gonna end up looking like cousin Brooke. I said, holy cow. This is, oh, there's hopefully Harry and Archer are okay. I just heard a little thud, so I hope y'all didn't hear that sound too much. But yeah, I like to have really good audio quality. I can't stand an echoey or crappy audio. Hope y'all like the audio quality, even though the content today is a little all over the place when we talk about teeth. But that's very shameful. It's very rude. It's very disrespectful to say, "Oh, go, clean your teeth, go fix your teeth, or you're going to end up looking like so and so, or like your hillbilly or your Cajun cousin," because it's a thing that hillbillies or Cajun folk, hillbillies are more like Appalachia area. Cajun folk are more my people from South Louisiana. I'm not saying that they're the same thing. They're very different. I had a school Harry on that when we first started dating, but they're known to be missing a couple teeth sometimes. And it doesn't feel right anymore to make fun of them. And maybe I had to experience this to know that, to realize that I have my own insecurities. And now they're also revolving around dentistry. I haven't smiled really without catching myself, except for when I'm comfortably recording this podcast, even though this is on YouTube for the world to see. It's like, hey, I'm just in my closet. Deal with it. I'll have a tooth eventually. I haven't felt as pretty. I've felt less than. I've used my flipper. That's my dolphin noise. They call him Flipper. I've used my flipper for when I had a role on FBI, and I had just one line, but a lot of listening. Not Law and Order, but FBI. I don't know why I just did the Law and Order sound. But I kept asking the production assistant, hey, am I hissing my S's? But then I realized my line didn't have any S's in it. Thank God for that. And then I did another gig where I was the type of character who would not require, it would not matter, shall I say, that my character was missing a tooth or not. So I went with that as a choice, if you will. But throughout all of this whole process, I just tried to channel my inner Les Miserables and tell myself I'm like Fantine when she turns into like, because has to turn to becoming a hooker. But instead I just ended up feeling Les Miserable because like weight loss, like hair loss, dental teeth loss, or shall I say weight gain? Like weight loss is a good thing, weight gain is a bad thing. Here we go, because Brooke's going to bring it back to body shaming. But hair loss, dental loss, all this stuff is all up in there as being one of the factors that society has deemed as making us either ugly or pretty. Teeth clearly were coveted in Les Miserables and back in the day. I have a Nutria tooth on my Louisiana wall that's actually from a flea market in Jersey City, not from Louisiana, go figure, because Nutria are rampant in Louisiana. People love teeth. They love teeth. They love their teeth. I mean, if you're crazy like my mom and I, you really love your teeth and your loved one's teeth because you keep their old teeth in a scrapbook. But teeth are like talismans of sorts. Like, holler for how many times you've been to Florida or the Cape or somewhere beachy interest and Turks and Caicos. Oh, you lucky beasts. And you got yourself a shark tooth necklace. They're like a prize, kind of like mama's wisdom teeth. I kept my adult tooth in my very own scrapbook. And my dentist, Dr. Victor, when I told him I wanted to keep the tooth, he didn't think it was weird at all. In fact, he said, that's a cute tooth. And yeah, it is a cute tooth. I just can't wait to meet this here, cute tooths, standing. Thank y'all for listening to me whine and grind my teeth, grind my jaw, talk about all the issues with my teeth. I think what I forgot to say, and I'm not shying people away, but maybe I'm telling you to be careful when you go to my Smile Direct or Smile Direct Club, or Invisalign. When you're going to those places, just be really careful. Seek a dentist that sees you in person, because what happened to me was that I had such extensive bone loss so rapidly, and my dentist, Dr. Victor, and his team, Zio, Mary, a dental hygienist, they did conclude that it most likely happened from my teeth shifting so quickly when I was doing the retainers with my Smile Direct Club. And that's why I got my money back. But don't worry, that money bit me in the ass a little later by having to pay for my tooth. But shout out for being able to have insurance. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the hustle for SAG-AFTRA having good dental insurance. And hopefully I'll see y'all on the flipper side. Get it, flipper?
Thanks so much for listening, y'all. It is my hope to inspire, uplift, and entertain you with this Who's Dat Phat Girl podcast. So, if you're hungry for more, you can book me to speak or perform my solo show that inspired this podcast, Fat Girl Costumes, written by yours truly and directed by Brian Lady at your virtual or in-person event. Please visit brookehoover.com/fluffybuttproductions or email me at contactbrookhoover@gmail.com for more info. And let's follow each other on Instagram. I'm at Brooke Hoover, and the O's in my name are not the letter O, they're zeros. Not because I want to be a size 0, but because I guess I'm just so clever with my late 90s Yahoo self. And if you like this podcast, which I really hope you do, please give me a 5-star rating and write a review on Apple Podcasts. And most importantly, share this with your friends, family, and other people you may know who are as fat as we are. That's fat with a PH.